Okay, welcome. This is a webinar on the PIM system for Dynamicweb that we released with 9.2 back in February. Most of you have seen this already. In this webinar, I'm going to talk to you about why we're starting to work with the PIM area as a new feature in Dynamicweb. And then I'm also going to show you just briefly what the current PIM features in Dynamicweb is all about, and then I'm going to tell you about what we're working on right now, which is going to be the future of Dynamicweb PIM system that is going to be released with the 9.3 version that we're seeing in August. So already now we have a lot of interest in this area because there's a lot of customers out there that is in projects with PIM already, and of course that's why this is interesting. And as always, you can just give me questions in the question pane. I'm trying to answer them as good as I can. So, and this is me speaking. He's a very handsome guy, so I'll let the image stand for a second or two. Oh, no. So I'm going to talk to you about the product journey, which is basically what we're looking at when we implement solution based on our e-commerce solution, because we always have some product data that starts somewhere in the world, and during that journey it needs some more information before it can be used to for various purposes. Usually new products are born in ERP system, and usually that happens just with a name and a product number or SKU, and then a price, and it's usually used for invoicing and so on in the ERP system. So, and this is how it usually looks when we have to deal with it. We have a lot of integrations in Dynamicweb. We get all the data from the ERP and move it into our e-commerce system. Usually when we get all this information, it only have the 3 pieces of information, or maybe not that much more. And before this product data can be used in an e-commerce solution, it needs some kind of improvement. We need to add a lot of images and text and attributes, language, and we need to categorize it so it makes sense for the web. There's a lot of things that needs to be done before we can use the data in an e-commerce solution. Also, a lot of this data needs to be used in other places for catalog production or in price lists or brochures and all that kind of things. And there's a lot of places where all this data can be used. So a regular setup is something like this. This is one of the things that we see more and more often when we do implementations on Dynamicweb. We get some data from ERP, and usually the product data, or often the product data, is moved into a separate PIM system. And these PIM systems can do a lot of things in relation to adding all the enrichment of the product information, like descriptions, but also all the product properties and documents and images and all that kind of information that we don't want to have in the ERP system. From the PIM system, you can export all the data into an e-commerce solution such as Dynamicweb, and this is also what we do a lot of times. But you can also export your data for the other systems that I mentioned, or for use in catalog productions and so on. So the PIM system is a system that is optimized for adding all this product information and categorizing the products. And that's basically also what we do in e-commerce anyways. So in Dynamicweb we can organize products in groups. We can have a lot of fields and documented images and all that, because we need that for e-commerce purposes. So our software already support setting all of these things up, and you can also edit it inside Dynamicweb. The problem with the methodology in Dynamicweb about maintaining products is the workflow around it. It's also how we can inherit some product data from across variants and languages. We have features for that already in Dynamicweb, but you need to switch a lot of screens to maintain product across different variants or families of products, or you need to switch languages to maintain it inside here. So the thing that we've started to look at is how can we add some more product information management into our existing e-commerce. So the starting point of this is how can we add workflow and improve the editing features of our product catalog to better support that discipline called PIM. So what we're aiming at here is creating a user interface that can basically for solutions that don't need all the smart things in PIM, but maintaining all the product data and using that product information in other systems, we can do that as well in Dynamicweb if we change how we work with the data in Dynamicweb. So this is basically the way, the place where we want to be, that we have Dynamicweb with an e-commerce and also a PIM solution inside Dynamicweb. And the reasons, of course, are many. First of all, we can, for many customers, we can make an implementation with only two systems, the ERP and the e-commerce. And of course, the benefits of that is many. We don't need 3 projects. We can take one of them out, saving a lot of money, but we also save a lot of risk. And we also take out a lot of complexity of having 3 integrations up and running, which we have in this situation, one from ERP to PIM and from PIM to Dynamicweb, and also from Dynamicweb and into the ERP. So this is basically what we want to achieve. So everything that is needed in Dynamicweb in relation to making sure that the relatively small amount of data that we get from ERP can be maintained and updated so it's ready to be used in the e-commerce solution is what we're building in Dynamicweb. To save money and also, yeah, basically take out risk of all of these projects so they run faster and we don't see that many issues. So let's see what we did so far in Dynamicweb. Talking to a lot of customers in our ecosystem and in our customer base, you can say what we do with the product catalog with the different product catalogs and groups, and how we set up fields and how we can control what inheritance goes from one language to another, and which fields are inherited across variants is also the discipline of product management. So in this first version of PIM, what we've added is this product management node, which is not related to the catalog and the catalog shop and group structure, but instead it's related to some folders that you can create yourself. I can create my own folders, and in these folders I create searches against my product database. So that could be I have a group called bikes, and I can search for all bikes in my system. That is the brand of Cube and Trek. That's a very specific amount of products that I have in my product catalog. It's a specific product type, and it's 2 specific brands, and that's usually because I would have a product manager that has the responsibility of taking care of this kind of information. So I can build up nodes like this using different search criteria against the database. I'm going to show you in a minute. It could also be curious that take a look at the product database for products that does not have the right information. So I have 2 examples here. I could have active products where we don't have a SKU on them. We don't want that to happen when we trade on our e-commerce platform. Or we could have products that is activated on the in the front end but doesn't have a price. So you would have a product without price on the solution. It could also be a product without a description or other information that is needed to be there. The way you set up these searches is like this. Just loading the screen. This is the smart search engine of Dynamicweb. This one is connected to the index that we have in the management center. So in here you can create a search with all the kind of criteria that we want to do. We can take a look at the manufacturer, for example. What should it be, and should we look for products of brand Nike and so on. We can look at all the information that we have for the product, and we can combine them using the OR and specifications like we know it from Smart Search. We also use in the user management. So basically we just set up this. Then we can set up some information about how many products we want to receive, and also how to sort it and stuff like that. Down here is where it gets interesting, because then in here we can say which fields we want to show in the search result, and I'm going to show you the result in a minute. And we can also say which languages we want to edit this one. Now this solution has 2 languages. It could be that I had 5 or 10 languages and I just added maybe 2 or 3 of them in this. So when I execute this search, what I get is basically all the products that that we have here, and I get it with all the languages that I have specified in the search. So from this screen, I can edit all the product and all the product information based on the fields I created on this search. So if I want other fields to be available on this editing, or if I want other languages to be available, I'll just go in and edit the this screen. So I don't want to take a look at active and price because that's basically not interesting in this one, and I can also switch the order of how all these fields are applied. So this is the main part of the product management in the version we have now. So, and I can then edit side by side in all the languages that I have, update the product name. Now in this setup, the SKU is different from language to language, but we can see down here I have some properties, which is the wheel size. It's not language dependent, so I cannot edit the field down here. This is related to the field settings that we have in the settings section in Dynamicweb. And as you can also see, I have 2 different types of products. I have some products that are bikes. Obviously they are not bikes, but they are something else. But they're placed in the group with bike products in them. All other products that doesn't have these information because they're not bike products are shown without the field. So it also manipulates the screen depending on the field settings in the product catalog. So by building a query and folder structure with various criteria, you can get some really efficient product editing on top of our existing product catalog in Dynamicweb 9.2. So this is the beginning of the product information management that we have in 9.2. It's not much, and that's also why we're working very hard on taking this to the next level, and this is what I'm gonna talk to you about now. So in Dynamicweb 9.3, we're going to introduce this PIM product warehouse concept, and basically what we're setting up is that PIM is moving from being a node inside e-commerce to be its own separate node in the administration. So along with marketing and files and e-commerce and users, you also get a PIM node specifically targeted for managing products in a PIM matter. And a warehouse is basically the same as a shop in the current solution, and but how we work with the products and how we organize them and edit all the product data is going to change quite significantly compared to Dynamicweb as you know it. So you can build up as many warehouses as you want, and the structure in these warehouses, they can be based on anything that we get from the ERP system. Remember, we want to get this data raw from our ERP system. So one of the things that we do is that we add some features to the integration, so that when we get the data from integration, we can get them put into a PIM warehouse and organized automatically based on some of the data that we get in the integration. And then when we have it in this product warehouse, we can start enriching all the product data with adding all the fields and the properties that we need on the products, and we can also start organize them for the structure that we need in the e-commerce solution or in other parts of the system. All the product information that we are going to contain in these warehouses can also be exported for further processing, for example, in for InDesign or other catalog systems and so on. So exporting them in any XML or CSV or whatever text-based format is going to be available from these warehouses as well. If we're going to take a look at how it looks right now in development, this is what we're looking at. You can see we have a PIM node, and this PIM node has, first of all, some different query folders in the top. And we also have the product catalog structure as part of this PIM node. So first of all, you would have queries that are reserved for me specifically as a user, but you could also have shared queries across different users that is related to all the product managers that we have in here, and we can also mark some of my searches as favorites. Another thing that you're going to get on the front page of this PIM node is a dashboard that you can show you the status of some of the searches. How many products do I have coming in from ERP, or how many products do I have in coming in from ERP not yet translated into German, and all that kind of stuff is going to be added to this one. The product list you see on your right, it looks like the one we have today, but it's a new one, and it has a lot of new features. So as you can see, it has 3 different view modes. It has a list mode and a thumbnail mode and a multi-edit mode, which is similar to the one I just demoed. So this is another way of seeing the products. It's a thumbnail mode of editing or viewing all my product information that is more visual than we have today. So instead of just showing product data, we can show all the images that are related to this. And you can see from this screen dump, I'm using one of the product catalogs that is coming directly from the ERP system. And from this screen, all the 3 different types of lists, you can select any products, and you can relate them to other groups in the tree, and you can also bulk edit all of the things coming in this one. And I have a question from Espen saying, is the PIM group queries relevant for building product tree and on filters in the front end, or stick to the index engine? Well, the product smart search in 9.3 is going to be built directly on top of the index engine. So when you create all the queries in product management, you can actually take one of those queries directly and publish them into using the product catalog. So everything that has been built as a smart search in here can be used in the front end as well. These are the multi-edit views. If we go in and take a look at the new PIM product card, which is where we edit all the product details, there's a lot of changes, especially in here. And this is how we work with the actual product data. So we implement this new product card functionality, which is a brand new editing of the product itself. And it contains a lot of multi-edit features around the same product family. So all the variants and all the languages of a specific product is now put into one single view, so you don't have to change between different views in the backend and save each of them at a time. So Dynamicweb has a feature about inheriting field values across languages and variants, and that is going to be visible now in the new user interface. So using the configuration of fields, you can organize where the field information is going to be in the UI, and you can also start defining different UIs for different product managers and so on. So this is how the new product information or product card will look. In this situation, I have some relevant new stuff. Up here you can see I have multiple languages in one product, and I can see from the user interface that some of these information are inherited from language to language. So the thing like the product number here is inherited, the name and description and so on is translatable. You can see we're working with how you add product images, and we do the same for documents, so it's more visual, and you can just drag and drop it into the product card itself. And then we have the product field section and product category fields as you know them. The new thing around this is that we get them side by side for different languages, and if we switch on to this one, you can see you also have the variant information in the same screen. Now this is a screen that is collapsed, So depending on how your settings is, so if a thing like the product number is variant dependent, it's going to be moved up from the main product card and moved into the variant product card down here. So depending on your field configuration, fields will be displayed in the right context depending on how it's edited for the actual products. And from in here you have some features available also in the ribbon bar. You can select which languages you want to edit side by side. You can add as many as you want. You get a scroll bar so you can scroll to the right. You can also relate products and groups and stuff like that. You can also define which fields to see, so you can actually change the view of this one by the click of a button and remove fields if you want to simplify how we edit the information, or go back to bulk edits of several products at one time. And you can also see here's an example of where we edit products in multiple variant levels. So if you have more than one dimension, you would get them grouped like this. So all the blue shirts or blue products can be edited all at once. Instead of going into each of the small, medium, and large, and so on, you can edit product fields on a higher level and get inheritance into the lower levels of the variant specifications and so on. Because you might have fields that are the same for all blue shirts, but it will be different from the second level of variant dimensions. And we have a question from Rumo saying, will we be able to view variants side by side instead of languages? Yes and no, because it's not going to be side by side. Right now you switch using a tab down here, but basically variants will be stacked on top of each other. And you have languages to the right. We also did some trials or some, what do you call them, attempts to do variants side by side, and we might also release that in a later stage, but not in 9.3. So, and one of the things that is being asked a lot from the standalone PIM system is, how is this data going to look when we publish it into something? And one of the things that we are going to build into the product catalog, which is also not there today, is a preview from the backend. So when you're editing a product, you can click preview, and basically what you get is a page in Dynamicweb where the product is rendered with all the information. Or it could also be a link to, in this situation, a PDF that will show a printed version of all the data that we have in the product card itself. So this is some of the things that we're working on right now for 9.3 in Dynamicweb. Of course, there's a lot more details in under the hood on how data is flowing in this system and some of the workflow that is related to this. So basically we're changing the searching engine. All the product edit and searching in the backend is being updated quite a bit. You're going to get these dashboards where you can see flow of your products and status on various searches of products. And we're also changing or adding some features to the integration engine to support some of these things. So when we get some raw data from the ERP system, the data integration will be able to organize the data in a PIM node in some way that is making sense to work with them from a PIM perspective. So the last thing I'm going to tell you is this is Søren. He's a new guy at Dynamicweb. He's been here for a month. He's a product manager for this PIM area and also for integration. He has years of experience with it in product information management, and he's going to be in charge of all of this. And if you want you partners to hear more about what's going on and have a talk with us about what's going to happen and have some input ideas or questions about this, you're more than welcome to contact me and or Søren here, and we are more than willing to come and see you, or you can come here and have a talk about what's going on PIM. This is an interesting area. We also already have a lot of customer requests for features and a lot of meetings out there. So if you want to get into this area, contact us so we can get this started before the 9.3 hits the streets, so you are ready to implement solutions once we get to that. Then I want to talk about Dynamicweb Summit, which is going to be in the end of September, on the September 28th to 29th. It's here in Aarhus, and it's the replacement for the tech conference. It's still the same concept as you know it from the tech conference, a lot of technical talks, but this year we also have a commercial track and tracks that are combination of commercial and technical stuff, and some very interesting keynotes. We're going to have a guy speaking about machine learning and machine intelligence, or artificial intelligence, or what you want to call it, depending on who's defining it. So we are working on creating a very good program for these days. And also drinking a lot of beers, because that's healthy, a lot of vitamins. I think that's it for now. Remember to stay in touch if you want to hear more about this. Questions? I have one more question from Hans. And the question is, PIM, is it going to replace the current product catalog interface, or is it an add-on? For now, it's an add-on, and all the PIM features in itself is going to be on the PIM node. We're not going to change the product editing feature right now, because it can do a lot of things that you cannot do out of the new interface, not yet anyways. But of course, those two will merge eventually into one. So if we don't have any more questions for today, I want to say thank you for attending, and see you out there. Bye.